You're watching 101. We're talking with Fadi Ghandour. He's the CEO and founder of Aramex, the international courier company based out of the Middle East. Fadi, talking about your defining moments, when were the real turning points in your life when you could see the change happening? I mean, for example, obviously with Aramex, there must have been a point where you said, okay, I've now made it.
Two events, really. One is right before we did our NASDAQ offering, Airborne Express, which was our strategic partner at that time, came in and bought 9% of the company. This was the first time that a serious injection of capital came into the company. They gave us $2 million at that time. And that was the first time where I felt that I could sleep at night without worrying about the survival of the company. And that was, 14 years after starting. It is tough to be an entrepreneur, and it's about managing cash flow and making sure that you're able to pay your salaries and your suppliers on time at the end of the day. And then, obviously, going public on NASDAQ was very defining for me in my career, and defining for the company as such. I mean, it cannot be underestimated how important that was for us. The credibility that we got, the endorsement that we got from international investors that came in and believed in the Aramex story. Suddenly, we were believed in the region. By the way, we tried to do a private placement before we did NASDAQ in the Arab world. Nobody bought the story. But when we said we were going on NASDAQ, everybody hopped on board, and that was validating. It changed the way we conducted ourselves as a business. So that was a defining moment. Another defining moment in my life, as we had spoken earlier, was going to college and living alone in the US. I mean, there is nothing more that one can learn than living alone without his family being protective around him. I mean, that is totally defining for you.
Now, what about those disastrous moments where you were like, oh no, this is a huge challenge I have to now face? Perhaps, for example, when DHL bought Airborne Express and then dropped Aramex.
Yes, and that was the best time of our lives, really, because while people were thinking this was going to be a disaster for Aramex, specifically our competitors, some of them had feelers, are you worried? And we were like celebrating inside Aramex. Thank God these guys were acquired, because you know what? We spread our wings. We were finally allowed to grow into territories that Airborne was in. Airborne was always restricting us in our alliance. Why do you want to be in India? Why are you in the US? Why are you in Hong Kong? While we are able to cover these areas for you. The minute Airborne Express was acquired, we unleashed our entrepreneurial capabilities, and that was at the most opportune time for us, because we had the money, we had the cash, we had private equity behind us. Our partners, Arif Naqvi and Abraj, were also a little bit worried, but I said, this is the moment of truth for us. This is when we show you how you go global, and this is how Aramex actually became global, because we took over that alliance, we became its leaders, we created our own technology. While people thought, Airborne will take the technology away, what will happen? Believe it or not, Arabs, Jordanian developers, software developers created a shipment management system that was better than Airborne's, and we were able to take it globally, and every single alliance partner that was with Airborne is using today the Aramex shipment tracking system, and we have a back office that runs the global alliance out of Amman, Jordan, and Dubai. So there is that story. So yeah, it's a defining moment in us becoming leaders, but certainly not in us worrying. We worried just like every entrepreneurial company worries, but we worried for the right reasons.
Then when was the one most worrying moment?
I don't know if I can tell you there was one worrying moment, but when wars break out, when you have conflict, even though we're here, we continuously worried. I think when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait was a very worrying time for us, because this shut down operations in Kuwait and Bahrain. A lot of people were worried, a lot of people left. But it was also an opportunity, because Federal Express, who was giving us their deliveries at that time, also packed their bags and left and gave us more deliveries. So we benefited for a certain while. So there are a lot of moments of worry when you are in a startup. A lot of moments when you were not able to pay your salaries, when you needed to juggle cash. Major markets were closed for us. So I can't think of one traumatic experience, but it's a continuous process of trauma, if you want.
And I wanted to ask you how much being on the front line has affected your personal life?
Totally. It has taken me away from the family a little bit. I was always worried that I would replicate the story of my father, and that he was never around. But initially it did. But then I became very conscious of it. I did give a lot of quality time for the family. But being on the front line is also very important because your credibility as a leader is also important. If you want to create a company, if you want to grow, if you want to go global, it's not a joke. It's hard work. You're either if you can't stand the heat, don't go to the kitchen and sit there. So no, you need to find a way to balance things. But again, you're responsible for not only 3 or 4 people in your family, you're responsible for 7,000 different families that work with you. And that is as important as your own family.
Now, to what extent then have you thought about the way your company is developed with a caring culture, with corporate social responsibility? Because I know you're a big philanthropist too.
I am interested very much in philanthropy, but I'm much more interested also in activism by entrepreneurs, meaning you don't only give money, you actually take your skills, take your capabilities, and you put them up front with you. Because people are proud in general. People that are in need are very proud. You need to empower them. You need to give them the capabilities to stand alone and not need you. Everybody hates to need anybody. So activism brings entrepreneurs to the forefront in saying development should not be the domain of government alone. We have so much skills that we can give out, and that's my passion about philanthropy, if you want. And I keep telling my friends who look at the projects that we work with, I don't want your money. Give me your company, give me your capabilities, open jobs for me, and this is the best thing that you can do for anybody in need.
You've actually got involved with the community, I think, part of the Jordan River project, Jordan River Foundation.
Yes.
To support a community. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I am involved as vice chair of the Jordan River Foundation, which is a development, community development organization, and it addresses issues of child abuse. But we also have an independent organization called Ruwad for Development, or Entrepreneurs for Development, if you want. This is the idea of bringing in the private sector in becoming much more active in community development in a holistic approach. So we've gone to one of the marginalized communities in Amman, and we have addressed all sorts of issues, from fixing schools, fixing infrastructure, giving, we have an extensive scholarship program, we open jobs for these people, we have health centers, we lobby with government to bring a police station to them. So we're not only giving money, we're actually empowering the community, and this is all work done by volunteers from within the community. So yes, this is my passion today.
I wish you luck with that, but tell me about what you would like to achieve now in the future. What's your long-term goal?
My long-term goal personally is really being much more engaged and giving much more of my time as my role as a CEO eventually dwindles a little bit, because the next generation is coming up in Aramex, is to give back to the community and become much more of an activist within the community, to give hope to the people of my community. You know, Queen Rania talks about the hope gap, and I think there is a hope gap in the region, and I'd like to be much more active in filling that hope gap.
How much time do you get to relax now? How much time do you get to switch off and be...
No switch off.
No switch off?
No switch off. You know, I switch off maybe on Friday. I am a swimmer. You know, I swim every day religiously. It is my passion, and I am a scuba diver. I switch off once a year with my boys. We go down the Red Sea for 2 weeks, doing nothing except scuba diving 3-4 times a day on a boat with a bunch of friends. That is the only time when I switch off. But even then, my friends make fun of me because I take a satellite phone with me. I hook it up to the computer. I get my email.
And you're looking for underwater deliveries, I guess.
Listen, I mean, I get hammered all the time, but I enjoy it. I do switch off, yes.
What do you want your legacy to be, Fadi? What do you want people to remember you for?
It's a tough question, you know. I don't know if I really want people to remember me as such. I want the people that I know to remember that that it can be done. I'd like to be a story of success to the young people around the region, that anybody can make it. I was not the first in my class. I was not the best student. I didn't have the most incredible access to capital, regardless of what people think. An entrepreneurial story can happen in the Arab world. And at the end of the day, once you have done what you have done and you need to move on, you give back to the community. There is so much need to give back. So as I was lucky to get to where I am today, I need to show others and I need to share my skills and my capabilities with others that need it most now.
So like an Aramex package, you got there in the end.
I got there in the end, and I'm going to get others to come along with me.
Good. Fadi, I wish you luck. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.